You'd think that after 10 years of wildlife photography, I'd be churning out banger images left and right, that I've got everything figured out, the gear, the technique, the field craft. But here's the truth, it's never been harder. More people are getting into wildlife photography. Cameras are way smarter, drones are cheaper, Instagram is full of absolutely insane shots. And as someone who's been doing this for a decade, I still struggle a lot. So in this video, I want to open up and talk about the things that I find difficult even today. Maybe you're a beginner, wondering if it ever gets easier. Or maybe you're like me, 10 years in, still figuring it out. Either way, you're not alone. Social media is super saturated. Wildlife photography used to be a niche, now it's everywhere. Scroll for 10 seconds and you'll see owls in perfect golden light, and snakes with eye contact, and birds mid-flight frozen in time. Which is great, honestly. I love that the genre is growing, but it also means that there's this constant pressure to outdo yourself and other people, to be original, to be better, right? And that pressure is exhausting, especially when you're not shooting for yourself anymore, but for an audience. And then there's also the problem of losing the thrill of what I would consider common sightings. I remember the first time that I saw an owl, I raised my camera and just spammed a ton of shots. These days, I barely raise my camera when I spot one. And I hate that. I don't want to lose that spark, but it happens. And then comes the guilt. Like, you're taking nature for granted. I know it's still beautiful, I just don't always feel it that same way. And when you're new, ethics feel simple, right? Don't disturb, don't feed, respect nature. But over time, it gets a bit murkier. How close is too close? Is using playback okay for education? Do I speak up if I see someone baiting an eagle, for instance? Sometimes you're not the only one around, and sometimes you're not sure if you're the bad guy. The more I learn, the less certain I am, and that's a weird place to be. Wildlife photography is also physically demanding. I'm not getting any younger, and carrying 15 kilograms of gear through muddy trails isn't as easy as it used to be. And the worst part is, sometimes I come back with absolutely nothing. No sightings, no photos, just back pain and a very sweat-stained shirt. Honestly, us wildlife photographers probably spend more time carrying a lens rather than using it. And yeah, I suppose that wears me down after so many years. My hard drives are also full of unprocessed photos. I'm talking thousands, some from years ago. I know some people really love editing. I don't. So all these raw files are just sitting over there, eating space, and they're like, remember me? And sometimes it makes me wonder, right? Why take new photos if I haven't finished processing the old ones? And then let's talk about Instagram Reels and trends and hashtags. None of that was part of wildlife photography when I first started out. Now it's kind of part of the job. And honestly, it's draining. I didn't get into this to chase algorithms, but in today's world, if you want your work seen, you kind of have to play that game. And that energy has to come from somewhere. Usually it comes out from that part of me that used to just enjoy being in the field. I shoot a lot here in my home country of Singapore. And over the years, I've seen habitats vanish, trails closed, trees bulldozed down, animals disappear. And it hits hard when you go to a familiar spot and it's gone. Or when you realize that one owl you used to see every week hasn't been spotted in months. It's the part of wildlife photography that no one really talks about, the grief. 10 years ago, choosing a camera was easier. Now there are 1,000 options, mirrorless or DSLR, crop sensor or full frame, 400 4.5 or 600 6.3, and it's not just choosing gear, it's the FOMO. Right? The fear that someone with a newer camera is getting sharper, cleaner images. It messes with your confidence. I know gear doesn't make the shot, but it feels like it does. And then there's that weird, delicate tension between shooting what I love and posting what I think people want to see. You see, sometimes I take a photo that I really like. Maybe it's a quiet moment, nothing dramatic, no perfect light or rare animal, just a shot that feels meaningful to me. But I look at it and think, nah, this wouldn't do well on Instagram. And I know, likes aren't supposed to be everything, likes aren't supposed to matter, but when you're trying to grow, when you're putting your work out there, they do, right? Even though I do this part-time, I still feel it, that pull to feed the algorithm instead of feeding my own passion. So what happens? Those quiet personal shots stay buried in my hard drive, and instead, I post what I think the algorithm will favor because I know that they'll get traction. And somewhere along the way, I stopped sharing for my friends or for myself. I started curating for the crowd, for the clicks. And that's a tough thing to admit because deep down, I want to believe that passion should always lead. But in reality, it's a constant push and pull. So yeah, 10 years in, and I still struggle, probably more than ever. But I still love it. I still care. And if you're feeling these things too, pressure and doubt, I promise you're not the only one. If you have been doing this for a very long time, what's your biggest struggle? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and you can also support me by buying me a cup of coffee, link in the description down below.